I feel empowered by quite a lot of the songs. I suppose Final Move is, very shouty. But in a funny way, its power isn't as strong as some of the other tracks because it's actually something you're saying to yourself. So whether or not you act upon it is not something that's really discussed. It's kind of when you're on your own and absolutely furious about whatever you've let go on in your relationship and you haven't... I get the feeling... I mean, this sounds a bit strange, but every song is a different character. I get the feeling that the character in that probably isn't going to do anything about it at that point, but might kind of pack her bags in the middle of the night, really.
It's time to make my final move, 'cause I'm not happy.
It's really funny as well because I storm off stage after going, I'm not happy, and I sometimes think that the crowd might think I really have got fed up. But no, I'm just getting changed.
Are you in the mood for dancing tonight?
Is It Any Wonder was actually a really nice experience for me. It's the only track that I wrote away from home. I went to New York to visit Moby, who'd invited me across to do some work with him and see if we could write anything. And on the plane on the way over, I had a few fears. I was worried that I wouldn't like what he was doing. I was worried that he wouldn't like what I was doing. I was worried I'd had complete writer's block and sing at him one of his own songs thinking it was a new idea, which I almost did for a joke anyway. But actually it worked out totally the opposite, and I was only there for 5 days, and when I got to New York it was February and snowing, and I had a hotel room that was really high up, so it's overlooking the city, and there was all this snow around and getting dark early and that kind of thing. And Is It Any Wonder came to me as an instrumental track, and I don't know, it's quite a romantic song really, because as it was getting darker and the snow was swirling, I could see all these other little lights in the windows, and it reminded me of when I was younger and you sort of really want that kind of, I don't know, white knight sort of thing, and you think, oh, maybe somewhere out there there's someone who's perfect for me, and we're just around the corner and we haven't met yet. So that's kind of what Is It Any Wonder is about. It's like that thing of, in the middle of the night, if you're kind of really quiet, somewhere sleeping and breathing really gently is your sort of destined partner. And when Moby heard it, he said he thought it sounded also more like a love between a mother and her child, which I really liked. So it became a kind of universal sort of good feeling, and I think it's got a real warmth to it, that song. I have sung Groovejet an awful lot, but I'm sure I'll sing it an awful lot more times as well. Groovejet is kind of like the other side of the triangle, really. If you've got the audience on one side and the Groovejet on the other, then the sort of album is at the top, I suppose, drawing from both of it. So it was a bit of a revelation for me as a singer, as a writer. It was the first thing I ever wrote on that was released. It was the first thing I ever wrote on that was any good. It had a real charm about it in the way it came about. I mean, myself and Spiller had absolutely no idea what was going to happen with it. The whole journey that it took us on was really special because every twist and turn was not something we predicted. And thank God, really, because I think writing songs and going, yeah, that's a hit, would be really ghastly, and I don't really want to lose the fact that I don't know how to do that. And live, it just works brilliantly. I mean, it's got the drums, I can do my little wiggles. I think when I was thinking of the way I'd like songs to go into one another, the drums on the outro of Is It Any Wonder always seem to lend itself really naturally to building up to Groovejet. And it also gets the right kind of mood because Is It Any Wonder's got a slight kind of cocktails and sunset on a beach holiday sort of feel. And Groovejet's kind of like, OK, now we've had our cocktails, let's go to a club.
I know what you're saying.
Everything Falls Into Place was a bit of fun, really, because when the album was initially written, we started off with, I think, Lover was like one of the first tracks, Leave the Others Alone, Sparkle, Final Move, so they were all starting to get more and more 80s. Everything Falls Into Place was a kind of, OK, let's see just how 80s we can produce a track.
Oh, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know.
Murder's been a really great little ambassador for the album, and I have to admit it, there's something really satisfying about the fact that after Groove Jet, everybody's like, oh, so how are you going to follow that up? And on the next album, there's a song that became even more successful, and it's great to know that people are now going, oh, how are you going to follow up Murder? And you're like, well, you know, you were asking me that about Groove Jet, and so that was really unexpected. I mean, Murder was just, you know, I mean, it was the second single. I mean, if we thought it was going to be like this massive song, I'm sure it would have been the first one, so that was a real nice surprise. I've always loved a good dance, and I've always loved a bit of disco, so Murder is my toast to all that, really. Move This Mountain is my favourite song on the album.
What do you want from me? I stand before
The others have their moments, but Move This Mountain's been a real consistent one with me. It was a bit of a breakthrough for me as a writer, I think. It was a completely charming experience to write and record. I was a massive, still a massive Blur fan when I was growing up. And I have to admit, I first went to meet Alex James, who ended up writing the track with me, just out of curiosity, really, because I've always wanted to meet him, and I've seen him in concert, so it's getting a bit closer. Move This Mountain was just so different. It had a real sort of John Barry type quality, the epic strings, the bells, the choir, and I just saw it as a real opportunity to do something really different. I hope I can do it again, because it's brought me a lot of pleasure as a song. Get Over You is very sort of, it's triumphant because it's very sure that its message is true. I mean, Get Over You has a kind of double meaning in that it's partly saying, oh, I'll get over you, you know, sort of cliched, like, I've had enough of you, but I'm going to repair myself kind of way. But really, it's more saying, get over yourself.
You've always had to win, you'll have to go without, you don't know where to stop.
I suppose it's a little bit of an I will survive type thing, but maybe not quite as far down the road as that. It can be just about if you're out somewhere and you meet some guy who just thinks they're the bee's knees and they're just really not, and you're just saying to them, get over yourself and go away and get some substance. That's why the lyrics, you know, no substance in your style. It's just saying it's all front. Well, Take Me Home is obviously a good one to end on, just in terms of sentiment, because I am literally about to go home. But also, I really love the song, and I like the mixture of its intimacy, and at that stage in the gig you can be really quite familiar with the crowd because you've had over an hour with them and you've sussed out the mood, so you can really pitch it just right. And I like its kind of flirty nature, and it can also be more kind of broad. It can be more of a something you're saying to the whole crowd. And it's a bit of a plea, I suppose, because it was my first solo single, so you're putting yourself on the line and saying, here I am, now will you take me home, you know, take me into your life.
I'm in heaven, love to show you heaven, so much heaven.
I like the way it's quite cheeky and quite knowing. For me, the power of music first showed itself to me when I was about 15, 16. I used to go out every Friday night, and when you first got to the club you might be all a bit sheepish, but when the song comes on, you can take the whatever the singer is saying and make it your own speech. And I'm always like that. Whenever I'm dancing, I always sing along to everything and kind of act it out. So Take Me Home is about that kind of power. You can borrow the lyrics and Take Me Home as a speech and use it to make you feel all powerful, and then when the song finishes you can go back to feeling sheepish again. And that works for me as well.